Hey guys, Gathering Magic back with part 2 of the Card Market Watch for November 9th, 2025. So we're going to do a deep dive into the card market, take a look at all the different versions, all the different rarities, and you might be surprised at how many cards are disappearing off the market for certain sets. So let's start as we always do with Alpha. So these are Alpha regular foil common cards, still sitting just above 20 cents for the floor. You can see how many are on the market here. So there are 20 cards in the set, and the highest price card is $98. And that is for a max copy. So 379 cards makes a max copy in Alpha for commons. Moving on to the rares. So there are 20 rares in the set, starting off at 98 cents. So you can see here there are at least one of each of the 20 cards. Twisted Jester is $9.99. That is for a single copy. But as you can see here, there are higher level versions that are cheaper per card than that. Next, let's move on to the epics. So there are 10 epics in the set, but you can see only 9 available for sale, starting $4.34 for the Serpent of the Flame, up to $14.88 for Dark Enchantress. Only a handful of each of these on the market. And then finally for your legendary cards, all 9 cards are on the market. You can see anywhere from 1 to, let's see, 5 is the most of the legendaries. So $40 for Chromatic Dragon, up to $250 for the Gold Dragon. Now for your gold cards, this is where it starts getting a little bit interesting. So there are still a couple cards at $9. Saber Shark for $8.99, Goblin Shaman for $9. There are 20 cards in the set, but as you can see here, there are only 14 available for sale. Now usually we see at least 18, if not all 20 cards available for sale. Of course, a lot of them are only 1 or 2 copies, but currently we are down to only, 14? I thought it was 12. Nope, 14 copies. So a couple of them have disappeared off the market. Rares, once again, there are 20 rares in the set, and look, there are only 7 available for sale. Individual copies for most of these, 3 copies of Clay Golem, 2 copies of Liana, and 2 copies of Zintar. Moving to the epics, out of the 10 epics, there are only 6 available for sale. 5 Serpent of the Flame, 3 Mischievous Mermaids, and then only 1 of the rest of them, ranging from $210 up to $680. And then finally your legendaries. 1 has disappeared since I uploaded part 1. Now currently there is just Angel of Light for 2,000, only 1 on the market, and Selenia Sky for 9,500, only 1 on the market. So that is it for Alpha Core. Now if we look at the promo cards, so for your regular foil promo cards, there are only 3 of the 4 available. The common for $7.76, the rare for $15.84, and the legendary for $199. Your gold foil version, there is only the legendary for $1,234. Let's move on now to beta. So one thing I want you guys to take a look at for the beta cards, you may look at this and go, oh yeah, the price is pretty much the same, 4 or 5 cents per common. But what I've noticed is the amount available for sale has gone down quite dramatically. Some of them you still have like 60 copies, 30 copies, but you don't have the 100, 200 copies that you sometimes have for most of these. So some of the reward cards are higher, but just for the base beta cards, you're looking at, for most of these, like 30 copies or less. So the prices haven't really moved up, but the number available for sale have kind of decreased over the last week. Moving to the rares, you can see 18 to 20 cents is the floor. But look again at some of the small amount of cards that are available on the market, like only 9 of that Archon. So the most expensive rare currently is Ulrich at $2.39. And then moving to the epics, cheapest epic, 65 cents, Divine Sorceress. Then it moves to 76 cents for Raging Impaler, only 4 copies. Spirit Shaman 80, then you quickly get, you know, close to $1 for an epic. And then your most expensive is Serpent of the Flame, $180. This is for a max level card. And then finally your legendary cards, starting at 443 for Spirit Miner, 546 for Selenius Sky. And it moves on up to, and this also has changed in just last couple hours. The cheapest was for Valnamore, I believe there was a copy, a single BCX for $26. That has been taken down. You can get a max copy for right around $250, but there are no individual cards on the market. The least amount, the lowest level card is a level 2, 3 BCX for $85.80. So that has just changed in the last hour or two. Another card that has moved up a lot is Plato Emberstorm. Individual copy, look at this, for $65, but you can get a maxed one. Look at this, $716. So this is a card that for quite a while was under $10 per card. Now per card you're looking at $60 to $65. So this card has dried up and been put back on the market at much higher prices. Prince Renan at $32.72. Some other key cards here. Lord of Darkness 16, Cryptmancer 15. So there are your legendaries. Now let's look at the gold foil versions. So your commons pretty much always start right around $2 for a beta gold common card. Just beautiful cards. I love the just majority of gold. And then Divine Healer, most expensive at $32.59. And this is for a level 8. And to max these out, you need, yep, it's still 38. Okay, your beta rare gold foils start at $7.50 and move up to $188.10 for Serpentine Soldier. Your gold epics start at $40 up to $350 for Serpent of the Flame. And then finally your gold legendary cards. This is it. Only 8 different cards. Prince Renan is at $39.60. Fallen Spectre at $2,200. These are the only ones on the market. In fact, if you look at these are all individual copies except for Gold Dragon. There are 2. So there are almost no gold legendaries available for sale for beta. Okay, let's look now at your promo cards. So these are your regular foil promos. Went through the prices in part 1. Once again, congratulations to Jimmy for buying the Prince Julian. He picked that up for $4.99. Only one on the market. And these are your gold foil versions. You can see only the common, rare, and epic are available. The legendaries are not for sale. All right, let's move on to Orb. So your Orb commons, 5 cents to 11 cents. Your rares, 20 and 21 cents there. Your 2 epics, $1.22 for the Wizard, $1.46 for the Mermaid Healer. And then finally your 3 legendary cards, $4.10 for Lord of Fire, $5.95 for Minotaur Warlord, and $9.38 for Corrupted Pegasus. Let's check out now the gold foils. Or gold common, Armorsmith for 2, Enchanted Defender $4.99. Your rares, Electric Eels $7.99, Silver Shield Bard $10.77, Undead Archer $11. The 2 epics, Dwarven Wizard for 47, Mermaid Healer for 73, and then finally your legendaries. There are no gold legendaries. Okay, so that's it for beta. Next is Untamed. So if we look at the core and reward cards for Untamed, you can see there's still some cards here at a penny. I expect these to get picked up off the market because for Cinder, so you can see for about a penny, you're going to get 10 power. So these are twice as good as your Chaos Legion counterparts that for a penny only give you 5 power. So I think these will be gone very soon. So your commons start, of course, at a penny and move all the way up to 69 cents for the Lone Boatman. As you can see here, to very low amount of common cards. Remember, these are commons, and most of these are in very small quantities. Some of them, the reward cards, there's more, like 73 of the Sandworm, but then for other ones, there's very not many. Like Cobalt Bruisers, there's only 16. Seaweed, there's only 19. Demented Shark, only 26. So moving to the rares, 4 cents is the floor for the rares. Still some very affordable Archons, if people are looking to load up on those for when Survival comes back. Tower Griffin is at $9.68. Your Epic cards start at 20 cents for Untamed, up to $1.69 for Lobstradamus. And your Legendary cards start at $1.11, all the way up to some of the key cards in the set. Kitty at $28.88, Jotun at $18, Llama at $14.99, Kron at $6.83. You got Almo under $4 at $3.82, Cornelius $4.15, Mimosa at $5, Camilla at $5.99. So some good prices on some of these legendaries. Phantom of the Abyss for under $3. Okay, gold versions. So just under 50 cents for the floor of gold commons, all the way up to $4.20 for Crystal Jaguar. And your rares start at $1.95 for Bone Golem, all the way to $39 for Mother Kala. Your gold epics start at $10. Once again, look at the low amount on the marketplace. Up to $2.20 for Goblin Fire Mage. And then finally your gold legendaries. This is it, guys. One page of 12 cards. $125 for Magus, all the way up to $900 for Almo Cambio. So you can see here, no kitty. And these cards have been up for at least a couple of weeks. Okay, let's move on to the promo cards for Untamed. Regular foil. Halfling Alchemist at 85 cents. Chain Golem at 21. Drickin at 149.76. And then your gold foil, Halfling at $29.68. Only one on the market. Gold Chain Golem, $69. Only 3 on the market. Okay, let's move to dice. See the dice commons, 1 to 8 cents. Once again, dice commons give you 10 power, so I don't expect many of these 1 cent cards to remain for too much longer. Moving to the rares, and this has changed in just the last little bit. Bright and Bloom, individual copy for $7 is the cheapest single BCX. But as you can see, you can get a max copy for $89 for about 77 cents a card, a level 4 for about 60 cents a card. This is typically where it ranges, anywhere between like 50 and 75 cents. So definitely do not pay $7 for an individual card. Other than that, Mylor is at $1.94. As you can see, this is it for the market. So there's only 6 individual copies and then 1 level 2. So Mylor has dried up off of the market. Other cards are pretty much where they are usually priced. And then your epic cards, 45 cents for Grenadier, 56 cents Dragon Spirit, 69 cents for the Mistress. And then finally your legendary cards. One of the cards I wanted to point out, Crawless for $6, I think is an absolute steal. If you do not own a Crawless, you can get an individual copy for $6. And then also if there are copies available for $15 for a level 2, and a level 2 is where it picks up the self-heal. So if you want to get a Krallis, definitely is a good time to pick one up. For $15, you can get a level 2 with that self-heal if you're playing in Wild. It's a great card. You can see the rest of the legendaries here. Once again, 10 copies or under. That is it for the market. And your gold foils, 68 cents to $5 for the common. These are your rares, 218 to 1470. And then your epics, 1142 to $40 for Grenadier. And then finally your legendary cards. And look, once again, almost no gold legendaries for sale. Only 5 cards for sale, individual copies, and then 2 of each of these. And that is it. Okay, and then Chaos Legion. So let's look at the core and the first set of reward cards. No surprises here. Still tons of these cards available, at least for the regular foil, from 1 to 6 cents. So no surprises there. Your rare cards start at 2 cents and move up to 14 cents for Kelia. Your epics is where you first start to see a little bit of movement. The floor a couple weeks ago had been 7 cents for epics. Now the cheapest is 10 cents for the epics. People starting to raise the floor on these. The high end is still 20 to 30 cents. No big jumps there, but definite price increase on the floor. And then for legendary cards, look at this. The cheapest is 54 cents. And 2 weeks ago, the floor for legendary cards from Chaos Legion was 35 cents. So we've seen a big jump in the floor price, but on the high end, the highest was $1.68. This has just changed in the last couple hours. There's only one Yasik for sale, single BCX for $12. So you can see once the market is wiped out, people can basically name their price. Not saying this is going to sell for $12, but you can see the amount of cards here is drying up. And then if you look at the number of legendaries, a lot of these are under 10. 8 copies or some 15, 18, but still, if you need 11 copies to max one out, there's not very many max copies of these available. Let's take a quick look and see how many max level copies there are. 10, 1, 3, 1 and 1. Yep, 1 for a lot of the summoners, archons. There's 2. So definitely drying up off the market. Now, let's look at the gold foils. So your gold foil commons start at 12 cents for Chaos Legion. Move all the way up. Most expensive usually always is the hireling at 47 cents. So now let's look at max copies available. So still pretty good prices. You're still looking at about $5 is the floor for a max level. But look at the number of available for sale. 3, 4, 3, 1, 2. There are not very many of these left. And remember, once these sell out, the new one that comes in, they can set whatever price they want. So the most I'm seeing so far is 8 of Disintegrator. And look at that. Look at this, guys, right here. 1 copy. It's a common gold foil. They're asking $3.49. There's 2 copies of Pellicor Mercenary for $3.59. 1 copy of Chaos Agent for $28.88. And I noticed this yesterday when I was looking at the market. A lot of these cards that have 1 or 2 available for sale for $5 to $7, once they're gone, the floor has been set by there is a seller for $28.88. So just be warned, if you don't have your max gold commons, there's not many there unless there's new people that are going to post them soon. Your new floor is going to be right here, this $28.88, very, very soon. Okay, let's look at the rares. So how are the rares doing? So let's just look at all levels. So 66 to 70 cents is the floor. And you look at the amounts, you're like, oh, a decent amount in the 10s and in the 20s for a lot of these. But once again, if we look at max level, decent prices for a rare, actually. $15 to $17, $18. You know, they had been 20 to 24. But look, this is it. This entire page. You've got, what, 12, 17 cards available for sale. How many were there at all levels? 38. So out of the 38 cards, now you're down to 17 that have a max level copy. And once again, look, 1, 2 copies of basically all of these cards, and that is it. And then the rares are gone. Okay, let's move to epics. You're going to see pretty much the same story. They've been holding in that $3 to $5 range. So you can see here, $5 is the most expensive, right around $3 for Jin Chwala. But if we look at max level cards, there are 6 different cards with 1 each. Prices are pretty much in line where they have been, $34 to $39.99. But if you have someone that comes in with under $250, they could buy all 6 cards, and there are none on the market. It is completely gone. And now let's look finally at the legendaries. So your legendary gold foil floor price is now $23. Most expensive currently is Zyvax at $85. Is this a max copy? No, this is an individual copy. Don't buy one for $85. So you can get a max level one for $92. And that's about where it should be. It's toward the bottom, $23 a copy. And if we look at max level for golds, that's it. There's your entire market, 10 cards. One of each of them for all of them except for there are 3 spirit hoarders. And actually, these prices are not bad. If you can get a gold max legendary, I think for $100 or under $100, that's pretty decent. So shout out to Level Up Life. I know he is huge in the LAN game, so he's probably looking at this, and you can see this list may be getting a lot smaller once he or Jeff Opens Cards decides that they want to grab these before these are gone. Alright, so that's it for Chaos Legion, at least for the core and reward. Let's look at the promo cards next. So these are your regular foil promos. We went through the prices in part 1, so I just want to show you how many are available for sale currently. And then these are the only gold foils that are available. That's it for the promos. For your second reward cards, these were the soulbound ones. You can see here 4 to 11 cents for the commons, 22 to 74 for the rares. Your epics, 97 cents to 11.69. And then finally your legendary cards, there are at least one of each for sale, $6.18 to $35. And then your gold foil versions, 99 cents to $2.44. $3.39 to $37 for the rare. $25 to $60 for the epic. And then your gold legendaries are only 5, $89 to $400. Okay, let's look now at Rift Watchers. So these are your Rift Watcher commons, starting at 1 cent, going up to 10 cents. Your rares, 2 cents to 49. Corsair Boisson has moved up to 49 cents. Look at this, Queen of Crows is down to 7. It's about the cheapest I've seen, but then look, only 8 copies of this rare available for sale. Your epics. And look who is number 1 on the list. It is Aquatis, surprisingly at 80 cents. So you can see the prices, the amount in circulation here. And then finally your regular foil legendary cards, 67 cents up to Inevitable is under 8 at 7.74. And your gold versions, 15 cents up to $1 for a common. Your rares, 60 cents to $4.50 for Corsair Boisson. Your epics, only 5 available, $3.67 for Aquatis, $7.14 for Ilthane. And then finally your legendary cards, $27 for Runemancer Kai, up to $78 for Ra. Okay, let's move on to Rebellion. Core Rebellion. Regular foil commons, a penny, up to 44 cents. Your rares start at 6-7 cents. Up to, look at this, $19 for Underboss Fabino. And that is for a level 4, so max silver copy. So there's a max silver, a level 5, and then 4 max level cards for Fabino. Your epics start 21 cents, then it jumps to 35. Up to, look at this, 440 for Toledo. And then finally your legendaries start at $1.40, up to $32.30 for Tofu. We went through the prices of all these legendaries in part 1, but I'll let you look and see how many are currently on the marketplace. And then for your gold commons, 30 cents up to 5.22. So the Archons have come down in price, the gold Archons. Your rares, 80 cents to 13.86 for Moxian Rebel. Your gold epics start at 4.68 for the Hatchling, up to 14.67 for Toledo. And then finally your gold legendaries start at 24.90 for Chaos Golem, and then all the way up to 2.19 for Venka. And once again, look at how many are on the marketplace, just a handful of these cards. Okay, let's look at the reward cards. Regular foil, so your commons are 3 to 4 cents. Your rares, 10 to 19 cents. Your epics, 79 cents to $1.03. And your legendaries, 3.58 to 4.99. And then your gold versions of these cards, 68 cents to $1.67 for the common, 3.50 to 6.89 for the rare, $23 to $40 for the epic, and then there are no gold legendaries. Okay, let's look at the promo cards. Once again, the promo cards we looked at in talked about in part 1. I'll just kind of scroll through this slowly so you guys can see the amount on the market. That is it for the promo cards for the regular foil and for the gold foil versions. And then next, let's go to Conclave Arcana. We'll start with the extra. So for the Arena Fanatic, regular foil is $1. Gold foil is $11.98. For your core set, 2 cents to 15 cents for your commons, 10 cents up to $1.75 for Bella. So the Archons continue to hold their value. Your epics, 34 cents up to 99. So there are your epic cards. And then finally your legendaries start at $3 up to $10.90. So very affordable legendaries. And then the gold versions, gold commons start at 30 cents up to 60 cents. Your gold rares start at $1.30 up to the Archons, which range from $5.50 for Gorgug up to $18.69 for 5th. Your gold epics start at $6.39 up to $7.84. And your legendaries, Filthy Scavenger at $37.05 up to Jacarilla at $87.40. Okay, now let's look at the black foil versions. So black foil commons, $65 for Boring Hobgoblin. This one just got listed recently. Up to $146.38 for the Venomancer. Black foil rares, $359 to $400. Your epics, Sifu at $660, and your 3 legendary cards for sale, 1 of each. Your gold variants for the commons, you can see here $60 to $150. Your rares, $108.99 to $109.99. No epics and no legendaries. And then finally your black arcane. These are the only 3 black arcane cards for sale. Common for $400, rare for $8,000, and your epic for $1,400. Okay, Conclave Arcana rewards. Your commons are 2 to, well, it's surprising, 25 cents. Your rares, 7 to 22 cents. Your epics, 69 cents to $1.56. And your legendaries, $3.49 to $7.20. Now for the gold foils. So these have moved up a little bit in price, 51 cents to 95 cents. The rares, $2.74 to $4.98. Your epics, $8.97 to $15. And then your legendary cards, $41 up to $100. Then the black foil versions, commons, $60 to $91. Black foil rares, $144 to $299.90. Your epic, there's 1 for $3.99. And 3 legendaries, $4.99, $800, and $1,500. And then your gold variants, so your gold arcane for the common cards, $49 to $65. Your rares, $135 to $1,500. No epics, 1 legendary for $400. And then finally your black arcane. These are the only black arcanes available right now. 3 common cards from $130 to $150, and 3 rares from $250 to $1,000. Okay, and then finally it is foundations. So if we look at just the regular foil foundation cards, so you can see here the commons, 1 cent, and then Dread Teferian is 2 cents. Your rares, a penny, up to 23 cents for the Archon. Your rares, 2 cents up to 29. And your legendary cards start at 7 cents up to $2 for Mystic Scale Weaver. Your gold commons, 2 cents to 18 cents for the Dire Bearer. Rares, 8 cents to $2.46. Your epics, 34 cents to $2.30. And then finally your legendaries, $2.68 for the Salamander to $8.50 for the Mystic Scale Weaver. Your black foil versions, so black foil commons right at $5 is the floor, up to $50. Your rares start at $8.90, up to $43.90. Your epics start at $14.99, up to $300. And your legendaries, $97 for the Little Sister, $199.11 for the Salamander, and $449 for the Great Bear Druid. Your variants, So for gold arcane, start at $8 up to $200. Your rares, 2244 up to 5737. No epics. And only 2 legendaries, $299 for Root and $500 for the Great Bear Druid. Okay, and I believe the last one is the Black Arcane. So your commons, $20 basically to $98.88. Your rares, $99 to $700. No epics and no legendaries. And I believe that is it for the market. So main takeaway that I see for people getting ready for Cinder is, of course, they're really hitting Chaos Legion hard. And a lot, like I said, a lot of the gold cards, especially the max level cards, are pretty much gone off the marketplace. As you can see here, these cards are just drying up and gone, even with Chaos Legion being so overproduced. So that is it for part 2 of the Market Watch, guys, for November 9th, 2025. Next weekend, of course, will be the Land Market Watch, so that will be interesting as we get closer and closer to land cards coming out. Release date is set for sometime in December. Prices on a lot of the resources is on the move, so stay tuned for that this Sunday. And until then, stay the course. Keep on foraging, have fun, and good luck in tomorrow morning's Frontier Draw. Take care.